Hi, I'm here with Cam Kelly, Chief Marketing Officer of Complexity. So Cam, tell me about this space. What brought Complexity to build a public area for people to come to and observe esports in Frisco?
Yeah, I think we were, when we were conceptualizing after the acquisition of the Cowboys of Complexity, we were conceptualizing the space, and initially they had offered us a beautiful office space in their headquarters. But for us, it was like, man, why would you build this type of environment and not welcome the community? And so we actually selected this location because of how accessible and available it is within a larger Star facility and structure. So that was kind of an easy choice. But when it came to public space, there was a lot of reasons that a lot of assets that enabled us to do that. So our players, they have a full service cafeteria, the training table that the Cowboys players use. So we didn't need a full kitchen. They also have access to a gym called Cowboys Fit where they have personal trainers, so we didn't need a gym.
So already saving a lot of space.
Exactly, and then right across the street we have an arrangement with Baylor Scott & White where our players are treated medically there. And so again, we didn't need medical space. So we have this wonderful third of the space that we didn't need to dedicate to cafeteria or gym or medical or anything. And so it was like, all right, awesome, now we can build an environment where people can come just off of the street, experience esports firsthand, touch it and feel it, use the same equipment our players do, in the same ergonomically designed chairs as our players, be entertained by a massive 53-foot helix-shaped LED ribbon, and, a massive 18-foot video wall, all RGB controlled, the most comfortable seating we could find, all modular, so we can set it up for different events. You can buy our merch, our partners' equipment. Really just wanted it to be this environment that nurtures, or turning and converting our space into a beacon for the next generation of esports athletes, enthusiasts, and fans. We actually opened in 2006 the first gaming house in North America in Plano, so just right down the road. What we learned over time is those environments, while better than the original state, right? The original state was you had guys playing in completely different areas, never really seeing each other, and maybe seeing each other twice or three times a year for major events. And so gaming houses served a purpose in that they created an environment where players could be in the same general proximity and vicinity and get to accelerate the practice experience. But what we quickly learned is that it can be a really toxic environment when you're living with your coworkers. So getting away from that, how do you really adequately house and nurture and develop talent in a way that's going to be advantageous? And so that's where, of course there's a speech, and of course we believe wholeheartedly in what we call esports 3.0, or what we view as the trend towards professionalizing the space, respecting athletes as athletes. We are talking about the extremes of cognitive performance. And so with that mindset, we don't look at them as streamers, we don't commoditize players, we don't rip them off in their contracts. There's a lot of things I think we do just inherently differently because of the belief that this is athleticism, this is the future of digital competition. And so that fundamental foundation is what enables us to really act accordingly with everything that we do. So the next place we'll go is our training rooms. And this room specifically is our Counter-Strike room. So our Counter-Strike team has a dedicated training space. And please have a seat.
Well, thank you.
Of course. So and what you'll notice as you're sitting down is everything in this space is made to be adjustable and customizable. We work with the tournament organizers to get the specs that they have on site for the tournament, all the way down to the height of the desks, the types of monitors they're using, if they're using stands with curved screens or monitor arms with straight screens, whatever they're using, we're going to match that exactly. It's based on a concept called environmental recall. That kind of old psychological adage of if you study where you take the test, you're going to get a higher score because your brain associates the information it received with the environment it received in it. So not being just limited to the equipment and the height of the desks, we also customize it down to temperature. If you're in Belarus in December or you're in Dubai in July, those stage environments are going to be colder or warmer according to the environment that you're in. It works really well. We just brought in Obo not too long ago, signed him on a futures contract when he was 15. How do you prepare an individual who's 16 to go from playing FPL in their room to going in front of thousands of people and still playing at that level? especially when you only have 2 weeks between when he gets here and his first tournament in London.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the kind of the proof in the pudding, or the case study, is that he performed and placed top 8 at his first event because of the level of preparedness. Also a testament to him as an athlete himself. But I think we provide an environment that really enables that. Even down to the smallest detail, where if we want to observe their practice, if we want to be a part of the experience, we have one-way glass so that we can see in. They're not disrupted by seeing us outside of the room kind of stalking their performance. So we try to think of every little element with the player in mind primarily.
Nice. As you probably might have heard, there are teams practicing at the moment.
Yeah.
So
we actually have our good friends with Team Liquid and some other friends of ours from NIP in town right now. And so we like to make our space available so that people can feel comforted and be in an environment that appreciates what they do and the challenges they face. And then they always tell us how much more they like our space than we.
yeah.
This room here is our cognitive training center, and what we needed was not just a space to work on players' ability to perform complex problems in a quick amount of time, because that's what we should all be working towards.
Sure.
It's also an opportunity for us to test next-gen recovery equipment as well. And I think one of the best examples is Counter-Strike cold hands. Is a phenomenon that players talk about all the time, and the cold sensation they have in their hands from playing. They put their arms really aggressively down against the desk, they curl their wrists, and then so their hands get a cold sensation. And the misconception is that it's actually temperature related.
Because the booths are cold, or the arena itself is cold.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's actually a circulation thing. So what I'll have you do is I'll have you hold this ball. It's going to vibrate at a rapid pace. You'll hold it about 10-15 seconds. And then when you're done, you'll feel the oxygenated blood. You'll even a lot of times see a red hue to your skin.
Yep.
And then you'll feel how much more mobile your hands are because of that flow of blood to your hands. So now when I'll take it off,
Take that back.
yeah, you'll start to feel a little bit more limber in your hand. It can help prevent injuries, keep your hands warm. How do you feel?
I need to get myself one of those.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, it can be a big difference maker. And like we talked about before, it's a lot of the little things, right? Like we're not so bold as to say, if you do one of these things, that you're gonna have the solutions that you need to be impactful and empower your athletes. It's actually the combination of a variety of different tools that are really gonna push us forward. It's no different than football, American football, right? Where you have a helmet and pads, and then you have recovery resources, gym resources, proper nutrition, sleep schedules, and curfews. And all of those things matter if we're, again, treating this as a whole individual. But we do love cognitive performance.
I was about to say, you've got a massive loads of tablets in the back here.
Yeah, so this is actually the direct result of a partnership between Complexity and Mamba Sports Academy, which is Kobe Bryant's sports academy in California. HyperX came involved as well. So what it is, it's a piece of software that we use that's called Cognition. And what we use it for is a couple different things. Primarily, we use it as a way to get fundamental metrics associated with cognitive performance: reaction speed, peripheral recognition, memory, inhibition, spatial recognition, things that are quantifiable that we can monitor over time as metrics and have a better understanding of our play. We can even add a few other pieces. So this is the base level game. This is the probably the only one I'm actually good at. And that's testing reaction speed.
So we just tap a button.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're presented with a piece of visual stimuli, how quickly does your brain acknowledge it and then take action against it? It's a really important feature, especially when you think about things like Counter-Strike, when all you're getting is a pixel. You know, how quickly are you able to flick your wrist and take that shot? And then there's levels to it, so the speed and intensity, frequency will become more engaged, but not just being happy with just that. There's
more.
Oh yeah, there's way more. So we can add an audio load, so we can start to distract you audibly. So how do you perform similar to our training centers if someone's shouting at you or if you have loud noise? Same thing with visual. If something is distracting you visually, how do you perform there? So now we have 3 different systems of grades. Then we can combine the 2, audio plus visual, that's a 4th, and we can throw in the element of competition amongst your teammates and peers. So if you think about it.
So when you're training all together, you're like, oh, I'm faster than you.
Yeah, well, not just that, but that's a great point, because you do well with audio, you do well with visual, but all of a sudden when you're put in a competitive setting with your peers and your performance dips, then there's something we're missing. Maybe you need more team building exercises. Maybe you need different opportunities to get more comfortable with your teammates. And those are things we can fix once we know that there's a problem.
Yes.
So where we are now, this is our decompression porch, and this was built to be completely different than their in-game experience. We chose the north side so that there's just a ridiculous amount of natural lighting. We typically have soft piano music playing in here. We have red Congolese philodendrons and other live plants that can really separate this environment from their training center. So to walk out from the training rooms into this environment really creates a nice shift in your mentality.
You go from a lot of like light, smooth curves to like, sure, it's still light, but it's like more straight and rugged and also flat.
Yeah.
So
it's about relaxation in this space. You know, a lot of the times we prioritize gameplay so much, but we forget that there is wear and tear and strain on these guys. And so we provide a number of different resources. Here's a good example in Normatec compression therapy. Normatec compression therapy is typically used to alleviate soreness after intensive workouts. We actually use it from a circulation perspective. Okay. So what it does is similar to like a blood pressure machine. Mm-hmm. It squeezes using air and then releases, squeezes and releases in your different zones. So starting at your feet, through your ankles and your shins and your knees up to your thighs, actually promotes really healthy oxygenated circulation to the lower extremities, which is incredibly important when you have prolonged sitting experiences. Because it's pushing good oxygenated blood up and then releasing it down and back up. It trains the body to have a much more adept circulatory system, which can reduce chance of things like DVT, deep vein thrombosis, and other ailments, clotting, and other things that are associated with long sitting experiences. So the NetPod for us is similar to what we talk about in the training center, the focus on cognitive well-being and environmental recall. There's also a lot of research in the opposite of that, and that is completely removing someone from the environment where they've received a negative stimuli or a negative experience and reframing their thought process. And so we don't use this in like a Google NetPod kind of way, like take a nap in the middle of the day. More so we use it as a type of therapy. Let's say you miss a big qualifier, or you had a negative interaction with a teammate in practice or something along those lines.
You get a lot of stress and anxiety and stuff, so you just use it to get away from it.
So instead of sending those raging beasts into the world, we have them take what we call a separation or reframing now, where they will be kind of, if you'd like.
Oh, yes. You don't have to ask me twice, I'm asleep.
So there's headphones just to your left there, and from those headphones, they will play, might be a little bit further back there.
Oh, yes.
Yep. They will play calming music, calming sounds. You actually have a different number of options of music you'd like to receive. I'm going to set you back about 45 degrees.
Okay.
You'll start to feel a soft vibration. It's going to kind of coax you to sleep, and then after about 20 minutes, it would jolt you to wake up. As you'll see behind you, there will be lighting displays as I close the visor. So it's a very small light therapy as well. Okay. Again, tricking the brain into going somewhere else. So we're going to leave this guy in here for a bit, and we'll come back and check on your hand.
Oh, good.
Cool.
That's fine.
All right. Enjoy yourself.